Tech Talk brought to you by Tamani Technologies and Systems. Tamani Technologies and Systems takes leadership in fourth industrial revolution. The whole world is facing a transformation. The revolution will be developed into the following stages: digitization, cyber security, Internet of Things, managed services, document management, and business applications. We provide business transformation and ICT solutions with presence in 13 African countries and 2 European countries. We are your leading partner in integrated platform providers, innovation leaders, standalone products, and innovation pace setters. Tamani Technologies and Systems, delivering value across continents.
And welcome back again. We are still here on Pan African Morning, broadcasting live in the Republic of South Africa in our head office in Midrand. We are continuing with, bringing you more stories that are covering on gender-based violence as we are closing off this Women's Month. On the Green Couch today, we are joined by Fabienne Francis, who is a personality analyst and, of course, and also, a profiler. She profiles personalities. Somebody will be wondering, what are you talking about? And on top of that, she just actually shared something very interesting with us, that she's also a survivor of gender-based violence. She's currently, partnering with other organizations to push forward what you see right there, Women's Life Matter movement, where they are working quite very tirelessly to curb the scourge of gender-based violence. Francis, thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to the Green Couch.
Good morning, SISANDA. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be here this morning and to actually talk about an issue that is so important.
Yes. Now, we are, of course, looking into the issue of gender-based violence, and you being an author, of these beautiful books that we do, the personality analysis and the love personality analysis. So you are in a position to somehow, have a look and see if I'm in a relationship with this person, am I compatible with him? If he comes with this type of behavior, how do I react to it, and so on and so on. Take us through first into, your love personality analyst book, where you can actually explain to us what is that? How do you, because we say we just fall in love, you would never know that there are personalities around that. Take us through that.
So, Sandra, it's very important for us really to understand the person who we fall in love with. I always say you fall in love with a person, but you actually end up living with their personality. And it's very important that you as a woman can actually become a profiler. So with the Love Personality book, we look at love. We look at love and all its different shapes and forms. Love can be wonderful and beautiful, but it can also be very challenging and heartbreaking. And what I try and do with the book is to really look at all those aspects.
Yes.
And there's different personalities that is more prone to violence.
Yes.
And if you as a person understand your partner's personality, you will also know how to manage that personality. And in extreme cases, it can even save your life. Because if you're dealing with the red personality, for example, that is a personality that can become very aggressive and actually become violent. So if you know how to actually communicate with that person on a level that makes sense to him or her, you can actually avoid a serious incident. So that's what the book is all about. And it's very easy to understand. There's a questionnaire, and you answer the questions, and then after that you actually calculate what is your personality type, and then we look at how do you react with love. What is your love profile? And it's very, very interesting and actually essential in this time where we fight such a war against gender-based violence.
Yes. Would you say that most of conflicts that people get in relationships, they are morally attributed towards the fact that people don't understand each other's personality. They don't get to understand, they don't know each other, basically.
Absolutely. And it's so important also to have realistic expectations of another person.
Yes.
So you need to understand, because in love and in any relationship, there must be compromising, there must be understanding of each other's abilities.
Yes.
And by having that ability, it really can avoid serious problems. So that's very important.
No,
Absolutely.
quite very much. Someone would say, Fabienne, for me to just read a book and then now I could be able to solve relationships problems, I don't think that's practical for me. What would you say to a person who might think like that? What impact will your book bring to them?
It's a book, it's got over 370 pages. And the book is written in a magazine style, so it's very easy to understand. The whole iDNA system was created to be fast, to be easy, and to be accurate. So when you actually go through this book, you will have a fantastic understanding. People are always so surprised. You know, they would say to me, Fabienne, how is it possible that you understand me so clearly? But of course, you know, at iDNA, we also offer workshops. So couples and even individuals, survivors of domestic violence, can also contact us. And we have retreat weekends, we have workshops whereby we can actually train you.
Yes.
You know, in a group, sometimes even one-on-one, and we can take you through that whole process. So it really is easy for everybody. We make it possible that everybody can actually learn about this in a way that makes sense to them.
Yes.
Some people love to read, some people like to listen. We're also going to launch the book in Audible. And of course, some people just need that contact by coming with us and have a retreat weekend or a workshop.
Oh yeah. What inspired you to write these books?
You know, SISANDA, I love people. And I have a deep understanding for people and human behavior. And I wanted to create a book and a system whereby everybody, doesn't matter from which walk of life you come from, whether you're a CEO of a company or you're just a mum at home or you are a small entrepreneur, that you can have a system and a tool that you can use on a daily basis so that when you meet people, that you can actually understand them. And the Love book is, you know, really came with personal inspiration and passion.
Yes.
Because like I mentioned, I myself are a survivor of domestic violence. And I wanted to share this tool with women, you know, all over the world.
Yes.
Because, you know, if you are a profiler, you can understand that person so much better.
Yes.
I've devoted an entire chapter in the book specifically for abused women because there's lots of different types of abuse, and that's also something that we must look at. And different personalities abuse in different ways. And we need to understand that.
Now, I mean, you just mentioned now that you are a survivor of gender-based violence, and maybe you would maybe want to take us through a little bit on how did you survive it, because a lot of people, it doesn't end up them sitting here and say, I'm a survivor. Most of them, they end up being killed in those relationships. How did you manage to come out? And maybe if you can give us a short background, because as you mentioned earlier, that there's a variety of different types of, you know, abuses. It could be emotional, physical, you know, so many ways of abuse. So if you can take us through and then tell us how did you survive and came out as still in one piece?
Yes. SISANDA, firstly, I want to say and just make people realize that when you get married or you are in a relationship with someone, you know, you fall in love with that person. It is your fairy tale. And not a single woman out there really want to accept right in the beginning when that dynamic changes, that the fairy tale is at the end. So I think the biggest mistake that I did, and I think a lot of women will share that, is that firstly you want to try and fix it. You somehow think that maybe it was you, maybe it's something about you. and you stay and you try and fix it. And abusers are very smart, a lot of them, and they will also start with emotionally abusing you. They will make you also think and believe that there's something wrong with you. In my case, I even went to a psychiatrist and I said, you know, please have a look at me. Is there something wrong with me? And I had a wonderful psychiatrist that said to me, Fabienne, you are such a strong emotional woman. There's nothing wrong with you. But you need to leave this man because he might end up killing you, which actually almost happened. And then my journey in this process was very difficult. And I ended up in hospital, severely injured. And even in that situation, I was hoping to try and fix it. It was also complicated. I was in business with this man. We shared a business together with another partner. And eventually, and there's a beautiful poem in the love book that I hope to share with you later on, where a lady from the police station who works with abused women came to see me in hospital. And she was so shocked when she saw me in that condition. And she said to me, Fabienne, I've got a poem for you. And I want to read you this poem and I want you to think about it because you need to leave. And when she read this poem, and it's called I Got Flowers Today, it's a very emotional but very strong poem. And I realized that this is my story. Because very often when you are abused by a man, after the incident, he will come to you and he would say, but I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it, and bring you flowers. And this poem actually addresses that. And right at the end, the woman said, I got flowers today, but it was the day of my funeral. He finally killed me. And that was the moment when I realized. And then I actually laid a charge. I went to the police, and also I had to get a protection order. And it was very difficult because the police, at that time we were separated, and the police couldn't find him. And he was a highly educated man. I think that's another concept that people must realize. Domestic violence happens in all areas of society. And eventually I had to assist the police by inviting him to a coffee shop so that the police could arrest him. And of course, in our legal system, he got bail for 500 rand. And then, of course, you are really afraid because you think now the person are really going to be very angry and come back and attack you.
Especially you have lured him to get arrested.
Exactly, and I did it in a public space, so he was very humiliated.
Yes.
But 500 rand bail, he got out, and I then got a protection order against him. And then my other partner in the business, who was also a male, actually called me in and said to me, Fabienne, due to the fact that you actually got a protection order against your husband, who's also the CEO of this business, even though you're a director, we are firing you because you won't be able to work with him anymore. So not only did I suffer this emotional and physical pain, I also lost my company. And then eventually when it went to court, the case was constantly postponed. He would ask for a new attorney, which means another postponement. And then eventually, even though he could speak English perfectly, he asked for a German translator. And it dragged on over about 2-3 years. I then moved to Johannesburg, which meant I had to fly down to Cape Town every time the case was postponed. And on the one occasion when I had to attend a meeting and I couldn't fly to Cape Town, they actually threw the case out because I wasn't there. The policeman said to me, Fabienne, you can again start the case, open the case, reinstate it. But then you've got to go through that whole process. And our law, unfortunately, is not on our side. And it takes a lot of courage. I wanted to break silence on domestic violence. I wanted to be the voice for all the women out there
Yes.
that's not brave enough to do it.
Yes.
And it was a very, very difficult process. And I think even in the case of SISANDA, you heard, everybody heard
Yes.
earlier, we need to stand strong as women, as a community, as a government. Our president has declared, he said on television, as a man, as a father, as a husband, he is outraged against the violence against women in our country. And just to make it a little bit more real, is that over 51% of women in South Africa has suffered abuse. Every 3 hours a woman dies. The Vice President, Deputy President Mapuza, said that the severity of gender-based violence in South Africa is as terrible as the apartheid. Why can we not fight this pandemic with such passion and also overcome it? Why is it that there's so much silence?
I can imagine.
And another thing is what I discovered is that people don't want to talk about it.
No.
In all levels of society.
Yes.
I had friends that said to me, Fabienne, it can't be so bad. Can't you just get over it? And it is serious. We should really stand together as women.
Yes.
And SISANDA,
Yes.
the media, is very powerful.
Yes.
The other day I was driving in my car and I listened to Jacaranda radio, and they had a very powerful advertisement. And they actually said that all the journalists, all the media is saying, take a moment and be quiet. Take a moment and listen and hear what is happening out there. If you have a friend, if you have a sister, if you know of anyone out there that is suffering under gender-based violence, don't be shy. Don't think by yourself, this is a taboo subject. I don't want to get involved.
Yes.
Help your friend, speak out.
Yes.
Because only in that way can we declare war on domestic violence. And then, SISANDA, I also want to mention that we must not forget the children.
I was going to come in there to say, actually, you have a book that is written
Yes.
dedicated to children. Tell us about that.
Yes, I'm very excited about the launch of iDNA kits. My wonderful daughter, Francoise, has been a foundation phase teacher for 10 years. She's joined my company about 18 months ago, and she's wonderful with children. And we started with the first book, which actually addressed the COVID-19 issue for children from the age of 4 to 7, so that they can understand what it's all about, but according to their personalities. And the second book that we're doing, she's now currently in the process of meeting with social workers, with child psychologists, and
Yes.
we're looking at, the devastating results of domestic violence which young children from the age 4 and 7 are experiencing
Yes.
when this is happening. And our second book is especially are going to be created, written by my daughter, based on the iDNA system, whereby we're going to help children, little children, because we need to make them understand
Yes.
that they're not victims, but that they are survivors, that the scars that they carry should be a symbolism that they survived, and we need to lift up their self-esteem
Yes.
and make them recognize their talents, and that this is not going to defy who they are.
Yes.
They are not victims, but they're survivors. So we're very excited with that. And then, like I said, with the t-shirt, Women Lives Matters, we have actually printed, I've joined forces with Liberty Mhlangla from AfriHype, and we are going to create a combination where people can buy the t-shirt and the love book. And we also have Kids Lives Matter, with a children book, and we're going to promote it, and we're going to do book tours all over the country, and we're going to raise funds to create awareness and to help these children, to help these women. And you need to empower them.
Of course.
And we have workshops, and I remember at the time when my self-esteem was so low, but I managed to get through it, and now I'm stronger than ever. And that's what we want to do. Thank you. So, and SISANDA, what is also important is that, I believe that the men in our country, the men in Africa, the young boys in Africa should be educated.
Yes.
We should also tell them and explain to them that they understand their personalities, that they understand their feelings, and that they can understand women better.
Yes.
So that they can that we can educate them as well, and create wonderful men who can respect women.
Yes.
Women has been victims all over history.
Yes.
If you look at war and all kinds of terrible abuse that is against women, we as women, we always have to stand up for ourselves and fight. But we should also educate the men and the young boys.
Yes, yes. We really would urge people to get these books. Where do they get them?
The book currently is available on our website, online. It will also be in exclusive books, where the personality book is also available. And of course, we will also do a national tour where we will invite people to come and join us and buy the book and listen to the talks and all that.
Yes. Thank you so much, Fabienne, for joining us and sharing this amazing story of your journey. And you mentioned about the poem earlier on. So before we close the show, we're going to go into that poem just to make sure that we share with our viewers at home your message. We are going to quickly go through and check on what the stories that we had this morning, and giving you all the news headlines before we close the show. Of course, we looked into a story of President Cyril Ramaphosa being held down by the NEC, and of course we looked into another story of Nathan, who was of course abused and also killed and shot and killed by the police. And these are your news headlines. Now, if we go straight into our news headlines for this morning, we are starting, of course, with the story of President Cyril Ramaphosa. President Cyril Ramaphosa continued to mount as the pressure on him as he had to answer to the ANC Integrity Committee, and the community of Eldorado Park want justice for the killing of a local teenager who was living with Down syndrome, Nathan Julius. And a march against gender-based violence in Cape Town turned violent, and it is of course a marketing mandate that we have had earlier on today to kickstart our week. And from myself and the rest of our Pan-African morning team, we wish you all the best, and we hope that you did enjoy your morning dose of this breakfast show. Please do join us again tomorrow, same time, same place, right here on Galaxy Universal Network channel 500, and this is Pan-African Morning. Kanti ke igama lami ngingusisanda unomusa kwaQWABE QOUTAUD, intombazane yaphansi kwamhlaba yalingana, umfule ngophuza ngiphuza gelegele, kanti inkomo zakithi ngashiya zidla phansi emahlathini asekubandeni, kanti ke zona ziphuze ebhudlweni, umfulo ohamba ngeslow motion kwesikwaziphi isigodi kulangibuya khona ke ngathwala amabombo, umthwalo wami ngawula shobhokeni, ngawubhekisa khona egoli kwandunga siyaduma kwenyama kayipheli kuphela amazinga endoda. Until next time, Africa, have yourself a good bye. Now we're going to hand it over to you, Fabienne. Give us the poem.
The poem is called Choose to Live. Even though he stripped away all I was, one painful layer after another, taking my dignity, my self-worth, my soul, there was a distant voice reminding me that the blood of my flesh was gathering drop by drop, creating a river of despair, but I was still breathing. Although the enemy within me and around me was keeping me captive, and there was nothing left of my personality, the distant voice reminded me that although I was a victim trapped in a cage of deceit and lies, the heart of the girl inside saw glimpses of hope and the soft rays of the sun through the darkness. My river of despair was too much to bear, and took me on a river raft which drags me under waves of dark waters and
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning and a warm welcome once again on Galaxy Universal Network, Channel 500 on Started, and this is Pan-African Morning.
Hi, Sudi Melang. This is still Pan-African Morning News right here on Galaxy Universal Network. And of course, we are fearless, zero favor and zero fiction.
Warm welcome to Galaxy Universal Network, Channel 500 on Started.
Catch the Pan-African Morning Queens, SISANDA, QWABE and Balesa Muchiminyani every weekday at